All right, well, I got some more breaking news on this Elpaso Texas shooter that's coming to light now, August 4th, 2019. Very much a loner, El Paso shooting suspect Patrick Cruz's life exposed. Man, 21 years old. I don't know, I'd call him a punk. Accused of massacre, spent hours on computer and got picked on in school. I'll leave that up for a minute for you to read that and digest that. In the meantime, I'm going to give you my take on this. This kid does not look like a conservative right-winger at all. He looks more like a degenerate Democratic liberal who had no friends, was a loner, played too many hours on video games and on his computer. He has no muscle tone at all. He wasn't active in sports. He does evidently no physical type exercises at all. And that's about what you got out here with these young punk degenerate liberal kids that do nothing. They don't mow the grass. They don't weed eat for their parents. They don't take out the trash. They do nothing, and their liberal parents let them get by with it. They don't work. They don't have friends. They're not sociable. Typical case examples of an introverted little shit who doesn't work, has no friends, and does nothing in life but sit on his ass and play frickin' video games and play on his computer. And that's what the majority of these liberal shits are. These Democratic punk-ass kids under 25 years old into their mid to late teens. They do nothing. They're spoiled little shits that never held a job in their life, and they don't care to. They're mad because they can't make movie star salaries and rock star and rap star salaries by the time they're 21. And that's what you got out here. And that's what the liberal media, as well as liberal Hollywood, pushes. Brainwashing these fucking kids. Thinking that they have to have a multi-million-dollar salary by the time they're 21 years old. It's just going to magically fall out of the fucking air. When you look at this kid, does he look like somebody that would be a conservative, a GOP? No, he doesn't. Looks more like a degenerate fucking Democratic libtard. A liberal. All right, let's get on with it. I'm pulling this off because mainstream media in the United States is wanting to rehash the bullshit repeatedly, and it goes nowhere. It goes around in circles. So I had to come over here to get this. Patrick Cruz's, the young man who is reportedly the suspect, in the horrific El Paso shooting that killed at least 20 people on Saturday. He's being called a loner who got taunted in school. As Radar Online readers know, Walmart shoppers in the Texas town were terrorized after a man walked in and opened fire on August 3rd, Saturday, 2019. In addition to the enormous death toll in yet another shocking American mass shooting, there are 26 people injured. Cruz's, 21, who allegedly wrote a far-right manifesto that expressed hate for immigrants, is now in jail facing capital murder charges. See my previous video on the fake manifesto. Not really manifesto, but he posted something on his social media type blog where he changed his identity from a Democrat to a Republican, supposedly to throw off investigators that he was affiliated with the NRA and the Republican Party and several other right-wing groups. He lied, because right next to it, in another screenshot, it shows that he was a registered Democratic liberal. So he did this with full intention, knowing he was doing. See my previous video on that, right before this one. Though Kruzuzis has not been named by law enforcement as the shooter, local media reported his name and published what it said were CCTV images of the suspect armed with a rifle. Kruzuzis is from Allen, Texas, a Dallas suburb 650 miles east of El Paso. And I won't read that bit of sentence right there because they're no longer irrelevant. Details of Kruzuzis' life are emerging, and according to the Los Angeles Times, his former neighbor, Leanne Lacasio, said that he was very much a loner. If I can get my highlighter, and it won't highlight now. Leanne claimed Kruzuzis criticized students who joined the school band or played sports. Right there. He criticized other students who joined the school band or played sports. Now, what kind of person does that sound like? Sounds just like a Democratic liberal. Definitely not somebody outgoing who's into sports and a typical conservative Republican GOP. No, it sounds just like a Democratic liberal. Wouldn't be surprised if he's not affiliated with Antifa. But you can bet the mainstream liberal media will not publish any of that, as they spin their lies and bullshit. He often sat alone on the bus in junior high and high school. He was very standoffish and didn't interact a whole lot with anyone else, she said. Her son, Tony Lacasio, said he sometimes had walked to school with Kruzuzis and his sister, but the loner often walked ahead or behind them. Tony recalled to the LA Times he wouldn't talk to people. No one really knew him. When writing about his life in high school, Kruzuzis said he did not participate in extracurricular activities because of lack of freedom. He reportedly just had 3 visible friends on his Facebook page. Oh, let me guess. I'll bet one of them was Marky Zuckerberg. Yeah. Isn't he? I don't do Facebook or Twitter, so I have no freaking idea. But I thought that's one of the first friends you end up acquiring on Facebook is Marky Zuckerberg. That piece of shit. He's everybody's friend, ain't he? I mean, it used to be. I don't know. Maybe I haven't never signed up for Facebook in all these years or Twitter, so I have no idea. I'm not stupid enough to do Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever you call that shit that all you other young idiot millennials have to do. Facebook and Twitter are a joke. They're pathetic. An ex-classmate of Kruzuzis told the newspaper he was picked on in school because of the way he spoke and because he often wore hand-me-down clothes. Evidently, he didn't have enough style and common sense to be able to pick out some decent hand-me-down clothes. He was irritable and had a short temper, and classmates taunted him by telling him whatever he said was dumb and stupid. Sounds just like a Democratic liberal. Yep, the very ones you see in Millie Weaver's videos. Another former classmate told the Sun Online that she remembered Kruzousis as the nerdy, quiet kid who barely spoke to anyone. Kruzousis graduated from Plano Senior High School in 2017. Still dripping wet behind the ears. You could probably hang buckets off them ears and fill them up. Graduated in 2017. Here it is, 2019. This punk ass is still dripping wet behind the ears, and he's got a beef to pull with society. Jesus Christ. These young punks under 25 years old, clear down to their middle teenage years, have got some real problems. And you parents out there that are raising these stupid shits that act like this, all weird and no muscle tone, and they're just really a bunch of pussies. Really? You parents, mother and father, or just mother, are as disgusting for letting your kid get that way. I mean, Jesus Christ, people. Get him to work out at the gym, mow grass, do something physical so he can build some muscle tone instead of just being a degenerate piece of shit that you're going to have to raise clear into your 30s and 40s. For crying out loud. Boy. According to reports, 2 years before that, Kruzousis wrote in his LinkedIn page, "I'm not really motivated." Now this is the good part. "I'm not really motivated to do anything more than what's necessary to get by. Working in general sucks, but I guess a career in software development suits me well. I spend about 8 hours every day on the computer, so that counts as technology experience, I guess. Pretty much gonna see what technology careers present themselves, go with the wind." Shortly after the shooting on August 3rd, that page was deleted. Cullen County Community College confirmed that Kruzousis had attended their school through the spring of 2019. Boy. When reporters asked about the suspect in the late afternoon on Saturday, El Paso Police Chief Greg Allen stressed that this person is still entitled to fair process, and we don't want to make any statements now to impede the investigation. So, you can scroll back down through this video if you would like to watch it over again. There's your El Paso shooter suspect. A little bit better picture. Not really, but very much a loner. El Paso shooting suspect Patrick Kruzousis, life exposed. He's 21 years old, went on a massacre, spent hours on the computer, and got picked on in school. That, my friends, is not a conservative Republican GOP. And I don't give a flying shit how CNN, MSNBC, NPR Radio, Huffington Post, Washington Post, or the New York Times tries to spin their bullshit. Because that's what it is. Bullshit. Most of these little twerps who sit in a room all day and don't help their parents out, don't do any chores, mow grass, weed eat, take out the trash, are just that. Little fucking twerps. They sit around and play these fucking video games day and night. Computer games, whatever, whether they're PlayStation, Nintendo, computer games, whatever. And they think this is how you go out and you handle situations in life, by shooting up the world. Now, if you have any doubts about that, I want you to go to YouTube. I want you to type in Violent Video Games Dr. Phil. Again, in the search engine of YouTube, type in Violent Video Games Dr. Phil. All in the search box. Watch what comes up and watch those. Watch that little shit and his mom. She doesn't know how to control him. He's like 9 or 10 years old, and she doesn't know how to control a 9 or 10-year-old. There are a lot of them types of mothers and fathers and families out there that do not know how to control little Junior. And it seems to be predominantly with males. Not so much females, but males. White and black. So you got a real problem here. These early 90s, mid-90s parents that decided to have kids, and here it is 20 years later, 25 years later, have raised these idiots into becoming imbeciles. Imbeciles. And of course, most of the parents, and it was widely known back then, not all of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a vast majority of them, and it was on several talk shows, and even Dr. Phil, and I don't watch Dr. Phil a lot, hardly ever watch him, but I just remember catching glimpses that these parents had put their kids on Ritalin and other prescription drugs. And now this is what we got. We got a bunch of inferior twerps, dipshits, young punk-ass kids that can't handle real-world life and real-world situations. They think it's done like that of a video game. And that's what happens when you get these parents who take their kids to these psychologists and get them prescription pills to calm them down when they're young, 8 and 10 years old, get them on Ritalin or Prozac or Xanax or whatever the fuck it is they got them kids put on back in the middle and late 90s and early 2000s. Well, here it is. It's 2019. You figure 2000's a leap year. We're 20 years into this new decade. From the year 2000 to the year 2019. That's 20 years. If you figure 2000 is a leap year. Here we are, 20 years later. After these kids more or less have matured a little bit, give or take a few years. But all these parents went out there and had these kids in the mid-90s, late 90s, early 90s. Now here it is. They're all a bunch of problem children. They're off their Xanax and their Quaaludes and their Ritalin and every other damn thing that these psychologists got them on. Here it is. We were warned about this in the mid to late 1990s, all through the early 2000s, on talk shows, news shows, and here it is. These little twerps are out here killing and murdering. And if it ain't done with a gun, I guarantee it'd be done with a knife, a sword, a car. So all this talk about gun bullshit doesn't have to be with a gun. We've seen it before. And my phone's ringing. Hang on.